Thank you, everyone, again. Today's reading is about room for Jesus. Okay, and if you have joined us last night or wherever your church is, I hope that the message that you have heard last night has been a blessing to you. Today's Being with Jesus reading is about room for Jesus. I wanted to share about three persons, even in today's lunchtime devotions, three very, some say insignificant, but some say very significant persons, okay, for what is that, during the crucifixions of Jesus. And they are, okay, Simon, Joseph, and Nicodemus, okay. First of all, okay, who is Simon? So I put there probably a trader, but nobody is able to confirm whether he is just a normal person or just a trader. But the mentioning of Simon, okay, is recorded in the Gospel, Matthew 23, Mark 15, and Luke 23. Okay, you can refer to your Bible verse later on. But what is significant about this person, Simon? We read that in Matthew 27, he was forced to carry the cross for Jesus. Okay, same thing appear in Mark chapter 15. Luke 23 gave a better explanation of what happened. He was not just forced, he was seized, meaning that he was probably being pulled out from the crowd. And what happened was the Roman soldier forcibly put the cross on him. And this is the significant part about Simon. He carried the cross behind Jesus. He carried it behind Jesus. Now, where did Simon come from? Okay. We read that he came from a place called Cyrene or Cyrene, okay? And in today's map, it is northern tip of Africa in the country called Libya. Now we come to the part to discuss about what can we learn or what do we know about Simon. So I call it, how heavy is the cross? Now, a lot of people have argued and say that, you know, what is the size and what is the weight of the cross? And historically, we know that a person during the time of Jesus, probably they are not very tall, probably just 5 feet something, and not very heavy, probably just average between, 50 kilogram plus. But based on this measurement, okay, we can deduce and say that the cross must be more or less 10 feet or even taller. Span-wise, meaning the horizontal bar must be minimum 5 feet because you need to nail both hands on the horizontal bar. Now, some historian has said that, the cross by itself, because to sustain the weight of that person to be hung, it must be easily over 200 pounds. Some say probably 100 pounds. But basically, the cross is a very, very heavy stuff. Did Jesus carry the cross wholly? Or did Jesus just carry the horizontal bar? There were a lot of argument on that, but it doesn't matter. What matters is Jesus carried the cross. The point is, it is already a torturing event for Jesus after he has received so many lashes and brutal beatings. And what we know is he couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't carry the cross anymore. And why was Simon seized? Because we know that the Roman soldiers, okay, they had to carry out an order to crucify Jesus. If they don't, they will be in very big troubles. So seeing that Jesus probably had collapsed on the road, they have Simon to step in, to force him to carry the cross of Jesus. Now, Simon helped because, first reason, very obvious, he has no choice. He has no choice because we know how brutal the Roman soldiers they were. But I believe it is more than that, because Simon, he has compassion, because he could have heard of what happened, all the injustice, all the wrongful accused being hurled at Jesus, and he has compassion on Jesus. And what is very significant is he followed Jesus from behind. I'm not sure that whether you have carried, whether a table or a long, materials, with two persons. You know that if you are carrying a table and you are leading the way, the person behind you suffered. But Simon carried the cross for Jesus behind Jesus. Because if he is in front, Jesus wouldn't be able to catch up. So what we can see here is Simon empathized with Jesus' suffering. And to me, personally, as a father, he wanted to set a good example and role model to his children, because we know that his children's names were mentioned. We were not sure whether they are at the scene, but what we know is definitely Simon has a story to tell his children during and after the event. Okay, during and after the event. So what does it mean to take up the cross like Simon? During the Romans' time, when somebody carried a cross, it is 100% humiliating death. Okay, it is 100% humiliating death. And Jesus said in Luke chapter 9, verse 23, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me, like what Simon did. Now, carrying the cross, it doesn't mean that we stop just at the point we carry the burden. In our life, there are a lot of burden. We have relationship, we have our career, we have our family, we have illness we need to go through. And even those in the church, we have our ministry. But carrying the cross, okay, it doesn't equate to just carry the burden, because it could lead to self-pity. What Jesus is telling us is dying to our own self, which is to completely surrender ourselves to God. Even though, as a person that is carrying the cross during the Roman time, even though the road ahead is tough and with possible loss. So even in today's world, for many people, carrying the cross for Jesus could mean possible loss, family, relationship. You can lose a friend, you can lose your reputation and status in the society, and in certain country, loss of life. That is the true meaning of Simon carrying the cross of Jesus for Jesus. Okay. Now the next character we want to look at is Joseph of Arimathea. And we know that he is a Sanhedrin, because we were told in the book of Matthew, Mark, chapter 15, and even John. And what we know about Joseph was that he's a very rich man, okay? And he has been waiting for the kingdom of God. But secretly, he was following Jesus in John chapter 19, verse 38. Okay, secretly. But what we can read more about this person, Joseph, is in Luke 23. What else did Joseph do? Okay, so we read that he had not consented to the decisions, okay, of the council and their action. And he went to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body, okay, and he took it down and then he placed it in the tomb cut in the rock. This is what Luke is telling us. But then what can we now learn from Joseph of Arimathea? Why such a courage suddenly? So, as what we read just now, he is a secret believer, he's well-to-do, but he feared the Jewish leaders. But we know about his characters from that simple passage because we know that he stood up and he had not consented to the leaders. Okay, there's one thing we know, that he stood up. And we know he's wealthy, not just mere mention of wealthy, because we know that he had a tomb cut in the rock. Okay, and that the tomb is in the garden. That is in John chapter 19. Yet for such a well-to-do person, he carried, this is the important part, he carried Jesus down from the cross and he wrapped Jesus' body. In today's world, probably, a rich person will get their assistants, their helpers, their maid to do all these things. But we know that he carried Jesus. And we know that Jesus is most likely naked. Okay, not like a lot of paintings, we have a piece of cloth or loin covering the private parts. In Romans times, all of them being executed, crucified, they were naked. And we know that Joseph removed the shame and gave dignity to Jesus. Otherwise, we know that the next day is the Passover and Jesus will be left there hanging throughout the whole weekend. So what Joseph did to Jesus is very, very significant. He removed the shame and he gave dignity back to Jesus. Bear in mind that he has no relation with Jesus. Some people try to argue and say probably he is, Jesus' uncle. But we need to know that Pilate has put Jesus under the charge of treason. And for anyone who came to Pilate and claimed his body, you need to have a lot of guts because you may be implicated. Okay, so Joseph, when he did this, he put all this danger that he might face behind him because we know that he followed Jesus, and now, not secretly, openly, he proclaimed that he is a follower of Jesus. In other words, he went extra mile to help Jesus in spite of the fear and the danger he may face. He is what we call today an unashamedly disciple of Jesus. This is what we can learn from Joseph of Arimathea. And last but not least, the last person is Nicodemus. We read about Nicodemus previously in the BWJ readings. Okay, he came to Jesus at night and Jesus shared with him or talked to him about reborn or rebirth. And then we also read about him in John chapter 7 when he spoke up, against injustice, indirectly defending Jesus when the leaders wanted to do harm on Jesus. And we read in John chapter 19 in detail, what did Nicodemus do that night, that day? He, which is Joseph of Arimathea, was accompanied by Nicodemus. Okay, And Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 75 pounds or 34 kilograms. So taking Jesus' body, the two of them wrap it with the spices in strips of linen. Is it because of custom or the ritual in the Mosaic law mentioned in Deuteronomy that Nicodemus was doing all these things for Jesus? I believe it's more than that. See, a normal burial, according to the Jewish law, will probably require just 5 pounds. Okay, 5 pounds, which is, if you look at a sack of 10 kilograms of rice, just 1 or 2 kilograms, okay, less than the sack of rice. So that's requirement for a normal person. But he brought 75 pounds. Why 75 pounds? Because Nicodemus, he is depicting, he is preparing a burial for either a very, very important nobleman or a king or someone who is very, very dear to him. This is what Nicodemus is telling the whole world. 75 pounds of myrrh and aloe. Okay, you imagine yourself carrying many sacks of rice around publicly. You are going to attract a lot of attention. But we know at this point of time, Nicodemus, he knew that Jesus was innocent. Okay, he knew that there's a lot of injustice. But Nicodemus, he did all this because he is now, just like Joseph, he is publicly declaring not just he's a follower of Jesus, that the reverence that he is showing towards Jesus, that the positions and status of Jesus in his heart. That's why he brought 75 pounds of myrrh and aloe. From that day onwards, Nicodemus, he is no longer the man who came to Jesus at night. From that, he has changed to the man who revered Jesus publicly, because he has put his past behind him and he has followed Jesus. One more thing, he is in partnership with Joseph. What is this partnership telling us? That it is a demonstration of brotherhood as Jesus' disciples, carrying each other's burden. Bear in mind, if Pilate has refused Joseph's request, Joseph probably will be put to death. And because Nicodemus was with him, probably Nicodemus will be put to death. So Nicodemus was demonstrating the brotherhood of being Christians, being followers of Jesus. In conclusions, all three of them, they make room for Jesus. All three of them. For Simon, he's just a normal person. We don't know why was he there at the scene, but we know he walked behind Jesus and he was convicted. Why did I say he's convicted? Remember his children's name, Alexandra and Rufus. If you refer to Romans chapter 16, verse 13, the name of Rufus appeared. And many Bible scholars believe that this is the same Rufus, the son of Simon. So he's convicted after that incident, and I believe he would have gone back to his hometown and he would have told his family about Jesus. And this is where we know if this is the same Rufus, they have followed Jesus since that day. And Simon is showing us a picture of discipleship. Joseph is a very well-to-do person. He has wealth, he has status. But yet we know because of his so-called heart towards Jesus, he became bold. And there's openness in him. And on the day, he showed a picture of allegiance to Jesus. For Nicodemus, we know that he's a very learned person. But for such a learned person, he showed reverence and awe to Jesus. He is showing us a picture of humility. So in conclusions, for three simple persons who's mentioning in the Bible, probably just a few sentences, and yet what we can learn from them is very, very significant, and it is very applicable for us today. And we learn from them about being disciple of Jesus, and we learn from them about showing our allegiance to Jesus, and we learn from them about humanity, being follower of Jesus.